Well, folks, Congress has been denied access to information regarding the investigation into Donald Trump. And that's pissing off a lot of Republicans. Apparently, Congress has been rejected demands from three specific GOP House chairs seeking potentially sensitive information on Trump. The general counsel for the investigative attorney, Mr. Bragg, in New York, responded suggesting that Congress is pulling a, quote, unprecedented inquiry into a pending local prosecution. Now, we can look at their letter here to respond, or their response to Congress, but here's basically what's happening. Congress is investigating or trying to get some insight into why potentially the district attorney of New York is investigating Donald Trump going into the 2024 election. This is leading a lot of folks to think that this is politically motivated. Of course, the New York attorney generals respond and say, look, we're investigating $130,000 of hush money from 2016, which is way beyond the statute of limitations, although there's some extensions if you commingle in campaign finance potential violations or potentially the city of New York and the state of New York's extension of certain statutory limitations. You have arguments that there were potentially falsified business records, other campaign finance violations. You've got the mishandling potentially of official documents and or racketeering charges, all these various charges that are potentially being laid against Donald Trump. And the New York Attorney General is essentially investigating Donald Trump. And the New York Attorney General is arguing that we never said Trump was going to get arrested. Trump is alleging this. Now, that's actually very interesting because if we just put aside, for example, what the potential crimes are, what's very interesting is the fact that by Donald Trump suggesting, hey, I might get arrested, what he's actually doing is rallying Republicans around him, specifically those who are supportive of Donald Trump or are seeking votes or affirmation from potentially the Trump base, which could be potentially as much as 30 to 50% of Republicans. Around 30 to 50% of Republicans identify as essentially MAGA Republicans. There's nothing wrong with that. But the point is, there are a lot of people who see, wait a minute, we have to make sure that if you're considered a Republican, you have to at least be somewhat sympathetic to Trump. And so as a result of that, what do you have? Trump comes out and suggests, I might get arrested. There's a witch hunt going on. And so what do Republicans have to do? Well, first of all, they all get asked at every single press conference, what are you doing about this political witch hunt? So what do? They send letters to the New York Attorney General and suggest, why are you investigating Donald Trump? That way at press conferences, they can say, well, I don't know what's happening, but I have sent a letter demanding information, right? That this is all a game. It's all a political game. It's so that individual Republicans in Congress can say, I am going to get to the bottom of this, and they can wag the finger at the New York Attorney General, right? That's the idea here. And so the New York Attorney General, well, before we get to what their response is, it's worth sort of thinking this through for a moment. If Trump thinks there's a risk he's going to get indicted, even if he doesn't get arrested, or there was never an intention to arrest him, it suggests that he may. That creates the political spectacle. That leads to more Republican support. Then all of a sudden it turns into, wait a minute, the Attorney General is a Democrat. I get it. This is Republicans versus Democrats. What an outrage. The office of the Attorney General is being weaponized to punish political candidates they don't like. And all of a sudden now, scrutiny on that New York Attorney General amplifies substantially. You got people protesting outside of that office, the New York Attorney General's office. And so what ends up happening?
Quick note, you can now use Buy Now, Pay Later to check out on the programs of Building Your Wealth, link down below. And we extended the coupon code just for today, whether you pay normally or with Buy Now, Pay Later, just to give the folks who've been asking an opportunity to get that last coupon code and use Buy Now, Pay Later. Check it out, link down below. Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, it's awesome. Check it out. Go to meetkevin.com or click the link down below.
And so what ends up happening? Well, potentially, charges never come. Maybe this just all blows over and nothing ends up happening. It's the perfect move of 4D chess by Trump. Not only has he gotten himself back in front of mainstream media attention, because everybody's talking about this. The people on the right who are Trump voters anyway are like, this is an outrage, right? Outraged voters, what do you think they do? They vote. People who are uninspired or unoutraged don't vote. So, for example, a lot of people say, look, DeSantis might be okay for Republicans, but if he doesn't inspire people to get out and vote, they won't vote, and then he won't win. Whereas if Donald Trump can inspire outrage, then what might people do? They might vote. Donald Trump doesn't need Democrat votes because he ain't going to get Democrat votes. So what does he care if CNN talks about him all day long about how he deserves to be arrested and justice is finally happening? He doesn't. They would all say that anyway. But instead, he has motivated the Republican base through this, what some are saying is just a charade. Now take a look at the district attorney of New York's response. Yeah, Steve here. Steve is Mr. Gold over here. Steve says, Trump, a genius. I am not, as I can't spell genius correctly. That's all right, Steve. We still love you. But anyway, take a look at this. Here is the letter from the district attorney of New York. All right. This investigation is just one of thousands investigating potential violators to protect New Yorkers. And this congressional letter is an unprecedented inquiry into a pending local prosecution. The letter came only after Donald Trump created a false expectation that he would be arrested the next day, and his lawyers reportedly urged you to intervene. Neither fact is a legitimate basis for a congressional inquiry. In other words, the New York Attorney General is saying, this is ridiculous. Why is Congress intervening into a local prosecution? How could you do this? This is not fair. What we'll do is we will agree to meet and confer with you all to see if there is any non-sensitive information we can share with you. But quite frankly, the New York Attorney General is saying this is a waste of time. You all are saying we are weaponizing the political system. You all are weaponizing the political system. And it doesn't even matter whose side you are on in this. You know what this is? This is a play right out of Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, which he co-wrote. But anyway, it's brilliant. This is another way to put this in non-Trumpian terms, is what I actually call chaos theory. When you create chaos, guess who's in control? You are. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say you're getting sued and you are pissed that you're getting sued. What do? You create chaos for the other side. You pepper them with requests to the court in every single angle possible. You make their lives miserable with requests in email and text messages and voicemails, and you purposely make their heads spin because that means you're in the driver's seat and you're in control. And you could tell the judge, I left them a voicemail on this day and this day and this day, and I texted them and I emailed them, and they're not responding to all of my requests. They are dropping the ball. It's part of the game. It is part of the brilliance of what I call chaos theory. It is a brilliant move, like him or not. Remember, my goal here is to report to you. Look, I have two goals when I make YouTube videos, okay? Number one is to try to give you non-biased information as much as that is possible in our insane world. I know that means I'm going to piss off some people on the really far left. I'm going to piss off some people on the really far right. But my goal is really just to provide information for people in the middle, because that's the campaign that I ran for governor in California, is running as somebody in the middle. It's a hard campaign to run, but I think I did a very valiant effort. We almost got 1 million votes in California. That's actually pretty impressive, I think. But this is actually a brilliant strategy, because now you literally look at this, okay? The New York Attorney General had to put together a 5-page, pretty detailed report here on or response to Congress with citations, responding to case law, responding to allegations that this investigation is only being done, here's the quote, to, quote, punish those being investigated. In other words, that potentially the New York Attorney General is just doing this to punish Donald Trump because they don't want him to be elected. And as a result, they're being asked to disclose confidential information regarding a criminal investigation, and that this is now impeding with an impartial or independent inquiry into these potential crimes that Donald Trump allegedly has committed. And I mean, they go through citing case law like crazy. I kid you not. There's a lot of case law here. Look at this. They cite Eastman versus the U.S. They cite Barenblatt versus the U.S. They cite Kilburn versus Thompson. They cite Watkins. They cite multiple different cases: Bond versus the United States, Cameron versus Johnson, Prince versus the United States. The New York Attorney General is literally freaking out over what is now congressional inquiry into Donald Trump. And instead of actually being able to investigate, what have they now? Well, now they have to worry about the media spectacle outside their office. They can't even walk into the building without getting harassed. There are now police standing outside of the New York Attorney General's office because there are so many threats to it. There was a suggestion that Donald Trump was going to be indicted by the New York Criminal Court on Tuesday, which didn't end up happening. But what happened on Tuesday? The same day that indictment was supposed to come, guess what? A bomb threat gets called in, which ended up getting cleared as a hoax, but a bomb threat gets called in to that New York court. In other words, New York is like dealing with this insane fallout because Donald Trump says, I'm going to get arrested. Well, the reality is that may not have ever happened. But by suggesting that, Donald Trump has A, taken control of the narrative, B, summoned every Republican to his defense, and 3, completely distracted the New York Attorney General, and 4, has every armchair attorney in America going through every possible allegation against Trump and evaluating how sticky the allegations actually could be. It's crazy. It's actually like it could actually play in such an insanely good way for Donald Trump. But take a look at this. They do suggest that charges could still happen, so it's worth addressing that. If a grand jury brings a case against Donald Trump, the DA's office will have an obligation, as in every case, to provide a significant amount of discovery from its files to the defendant so that he may prepare a defense. And then that way, Donald Trump can basically provide the information, right? The letter's allegation that the DA's office is pursuing a prosecution for political purposes is unfounded, and regardless, the proper forum for such a challenge is the Court of New York, which are equipped to consider and review such objections. In addition, review by the U.S. Supreme Court would be available to the extent any criminal case results out of this. In other words, they're saying, look, give us a chance. Like, literally, the New York Attorney General is begging, please, just give us a chance to finish our investigation. It'll all come up in court. And when it all comes up in court, you'll have plenty of time to analyze all of the potential claims at that time. But let us at least get to that point. But that is the point. This is why Donald Trump is able to control the narrative, because he's now distracting them with all of this and potentially delaying the fact of them ever being able to bring these charges up in the first place. And they have to deal with all of the armchair defenses that are coming up in the meantime. It's a very interesting case of really, dare I say, weaponizing your base to respond to potential political weaponization of the justice system. It's kind of a 4D chess move. You got to give them credit. Now, I know that pisses people off. I mean, sometimes then I get the comments and everything. Kevin's being a Trump apologist. I'm simply being an observer, and I'm saying, look, no Democrat is going to vote for him anyway. But what it's actually doing is it's actually making it more likely that you get a Donald Trump reelected. So you have to think about that. So if you're a Democrat, if you hate Donald Trump, you have to realize him getting arrested increases the chance of him actually getting elected. There's a reason that Elon Musk said on Twitter that if Trump is arrested, guess what? He'll win by a landslide victory. That is what not only Elon Musk said, but then guess what? Of course, Trump Jr. retweeted. Trump arrest will lead to a landslide victory for Trump, Elon Musk says. And then, of course, multiple news sources are covering that as well. That's the point. So now what? Think about the optics of this. If this is a politically motivated prosecution of Donald Trump, well, now all of a sudden they have to contend with the fact that Republicans are like, go ahead, arrest him. I dare you. Do it. So we win. That's the idea, right? Like, it's so brilliant. Now, not only have you distracted the DA, but you've basically said, go ahead, do it. It'll be great for our campaign. So if it's politically motivated, that basically just potentially got destroyed. But if it's not politically motivated, it basically just also got destroyed to some extent because the DA can't even get to the offices without getting harassed. They have to defend all these allegations from Congress and all these distractions. And they have to deal with all the armchair attorneys investigating all of this stuff. I have to say, it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And again, even if you hate Donald Trump, you have to look at this and go, wow, this does create an issue. Because look, there are people all over on the left. And I look, I follow both sides. Okay. I really try my best. There's this, although I think most people who comment on politics take stuff way out of context. Both sides. I hate it. Like Benny Johnson, almost always out of context. Although he does provide some good, sort of like updates. Alwast always out of context though. But it's the same thing on the left. Like the politics girl or whatever. Oh my gosh, every video of her is so out of context. But it's designed to just get followers from the left. Just like some of the other stuff is only designed to get followers from the right. There's very little coverage in the actual middle. And so let me give us sort of a bottom line to Congress being denied access to the Trump investigation. What is the result of all of this? The result of all of this is very simple. Number one, Donald Trump just became the most popular Republican candidate with a more galvanized base. So now he's kicking potentially DeSantis or Abbott in the butt. We weren't even announced yet. We don't even know if Abbott will go. Pretty clear DeSantis will end up going to run. Nikki Haley, who's talking about her? Who's talking about the other guy, the ESG fund guy, the billionaire dude? Nobody. Nobody's talking about them. And how do you win elections? Everybody talking about you. Again, if you're a Republican, you don't need the Dems liking you, right? So the implication of all of this is Donald Trump has just galvanized the right vote through all of this. So if it's politically motivated, that just backfired. That is this prosecution. If you're a Democrat, you should actually be not cheering this, because the fact of the matter is, even if he's indicted and punished, do you really think he's going to end up getting sentenced to where it actually prevents him from becoming president? Probably not. And if you end up putting Biden against Trump, we saw what happened with Hillary versus Trump. Okay, I'm not saying what's going to happen, but I do think a galvanized Trump is the worst nightmare for Democrats. Just saying. Okay, my take. Hopefully that was insightful to you. That's just my take. I know people get mad at me when I talk about politics. It's because I try to be in the middle, but I really do try to do my best here. Now, the good news out of all of this is you can now use a buy now, pay later service to check out on the programs on Building Your Wealth link down below. We've activated not only Affirm, but Klarna and other options where you can now buy now, pay later to join the programs on Building Your Wealth, linked down below. As a result, we've extended that coupon code to tonight, so that way you can take advantage of that buy now, pay later if you so desire.